So, hey guys, it's Alicia Brown, the Joy Guru, as well as the CEO of Fruition Publishing Concierge Services. And I just finished speaking for the second day at the Global Summit, at a Global Summit that was devoted to mompreneurs. And I just wanted to come on today because I was able today to talk about moms and mental health. And I wanted to point out a few things, but especially for those of you that say you want to be speaking on stages, you want to be reaching your target audience, I want to make sure you're not limiting yourself. And here's why I say that example, because this was a platform that was devoted to moms. So, from all the topic for women, finances, life balance, mental health, and still going on. Women across the globe. Yesterday when I was speaking about 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, one of our speakers, it was 1 a.m. where she was. So when I say all around the world, different time zones, that's exactly what I mean. But most of you know that I am single and I'm not a mother. So why would I apply to be part when most panelists are moms? Tell you why. And this is where sometimes many of you are missing speaking opportunities because you don't think you fit in, but that is the exact audience you need to be speaking to. I entered in because I am a part time caregiver for my mother and sister. In addition to being a child abuse survivor, the part of the story that I said I don't tell often, but in this season I do tell with permission from my mother, is that my mother has mental health issues as well as my sister suffers from depression. So this is a platform that I really think and really am called to in this season to talk to people about. And often the dynamics of relationships, mother and daughter relationships, are always unique and special. But also, especially in this pandemic, you're looking at people that are struggling with mental health issues. Well, if you're struggling with mental health issues, I guarantee you that those that are connected to you feel the impacts. And when you look at something like abuse that's generational, you can see where a lot of times that can be the proper breeding ground for emotional distress, mental illness, sickness, and all type of things like that. So if you have a whole panel devoted to mothers, why would I not be speaking there? I didn't disqualify myself because I'm not a mom. I'm a daughter. So I can tell you the other end of that on certain issues. I'm the expert in that. I'm the expert in growing up with a mother that was dealing with abuse as well as mental health issues. I'm the expert in challenges I've had myself, as well as being a part-time caretaker for both her and my sister. And my sister suffers from depression as well. I'm able to speak on these generational issues and some of the precursors. And as someone growing up in that, the narrative that's before you, and then how do you change that narrative for yourself? Because let's be real, a lot of the things we deal with, they're generational. And sometimes they're taught and they're ingrained in us. So, when you grow up and you have the same issues or you're dealing with certain things that are related to that, it's just accepted. And my whole thing, especially at this point in life, is changing the narrative. Stop accepting what people say. Stop accepting that people are normalizing things that should not be normalized. Stop accepting that you always have to say yes and you have to be perfect and you can't ask for help and you have to hide behind stigmas while you're bleeding out and while you're hurting. Stop hurting yourself and get the help you need and screw what everybody else is thinking, what they're saying, because at the end of the day, it's your emotional and mental wellness that matters. At the end of the day, it's your happiness and joy that matters. And I'll tell you the truth, I have never seen anyone in real life be happy putting on a superhero cape. That's why it's in the movies. That's why it's depicted in cartoons and literature. It's a fantasy, just like fairy tales. Now, you can have parts of your life resemble a fairy tale, but let me tell you, this whole complex where we got to do everything all the time, whatever, it's crap and it's killing us. It's destroying our peace. So, yes, these are the people I was meant to speak to. Sometimes there are places where you should be speaking on stage speaking, but you may be disqualifying yourself because you're like, oh, well, they're talking about that. And I'm not them. I'm not like them. I don't look like them. And for me, I always say being a double minority, I should be at a lot of places speaking because I have to represent who I am. And a lot of times, unfortunately, even now, I will find very few minority people speaking on the topic, even though they may have a lot of minority people that attend. So if we don't stand up and represent, if we don't stand up and share our narrative and our expertise, then who is going to represent for us? An important part about changing a narrative is being a person that stands and delivers the narrative. And versus someone telling you what you think and what you should do, but they've never walked a mile in your shoes. You can't tell me how to be a Black woman if you're not a Black woman. Okay, not saying you can't be empathetic, but sometimes there's certain unique issues that I will deal with in addition to whatever you're talking about, just because I'm a Black woman. There is a difference, and especially when we're talking about certain topics, it's a difference that needs to be discussed. Well, you can't do that if somebody's not there to represent. Representation matters. So I just wanted to come in there and share that with you today, and also to share that diversity matters. Because one thing I love about always speaking, especially if I'm a panelist, the people that you meet. When you make the right decisions to be on the right stage, it's not just speaking to everything that people throw to you. It's being intentional and knowing where your audience is according to your expertise that you want to share with and being on those stages. Because I receive different invitations to speak. I don't say yes to all of them. And I'm not putting down those forums, but what I'm saying is sometimes those panels and those summits, A, do not have my people, and two, it's just not conducive to me, my brand, my company. I'm just not going there. So I'm very intentional with where I speak. Okay. There has to be a certain desired result. There has to be a certain impact. I say this all the time, just like I'm doing Clubhouse tonight. I do Clubhouse for a reason. I didn't jump on it because everybody else is on there. It's the hot new thing. If it makes sense for my business, definitely if it can be monetized and my people are there, that's what I'm going to do. That's why I do have my own club now, Publishing Secrets, because hey, I'm not going to keep speaking on other people's panels. And I thank people that let me join their rooms, moderating. Yeah, that was awesome because it gave me a time to really understand the app and the software. So there is collaboration. I still do collaboration with different people on Clubhouse. Nothing wrong with that. But at some point, you have to stop being a consumer and you have to be a producer. You have to know how to partner, but you also have to know how to create your own. It's all about changing the narrative. So I just wanted to come in with those tips today. I want to say from the two panels I spoke on within the last 24 hours, one of the tips I want to share with everyone, moms and women especially, but this goes out to my male audience as well. Learn to say no. You know, one thing we learned from the pandemic is it put the world on pause. So no matter who you were, rich, poor, white, Black, what part of the country you lived in, what part of the world you lived in, the whole world was on pause. Things we thought we just had to do and do at this rapid speed, everything just came to pause. So that's a fallacy in believing everything has to be done now. And it really emphasized that certain things are priorities, certain things are not. You know, I tell people say life balance, I don't believe in it. I believe it's a work in progress and you should strive for it. But when I say I don't believe in it, I don't believe everything is going to be balanced all the time. That's just not realistic. Okay. So again, change the narrative, change your narrative. Live a life that is by your design and not what someone told you should have. Define your success because people say, I want to be successful, but what does that mean to you? And like I was telling them yesterday, when you talk about business coaches and organizations and networks and things you're connected to and who you should get what, listen, you got to know what is your definition of success because you may have an amazing coach, but because that's their definition of success differs so vastly from yours, that's not the coach for you. Everybody doesn't want a multi-million-dollar brand, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some people do want a multi-million-dollar brand, but in those two people, their coach completely different. And one person, like I always tell people with therapists, they can have their credentials out the wazoo, but that doesn't mean they're the therapist for you. It doesn't take away from their expertise, but you will know when you meet the person that's meant for you, that can be the best help, and you build that relationship and you allow them to assist you. It's not one size fit all. You have to pursue what's best for you and trust your gut. You'll know when you're present, when you do your dump, as far as your dump mentally and emotionally and cleansing yourself internally, you have to do it on the outside as well, but mentally, emotionally, you know, spiritually, when you're cleansing yourself, you learn your own voice and you learn how to trust your voice and trust the gut. So those are just some tips I wanted to give you today. And let me know what stage you're on next. take these tips and stop, look for where your audience is. First, you need to define that audience, but stop disqualifying yourself because you're like, oh, that's about that. I'm not like them. Sometimes your audience is there though. So you need to be on the panel and you need to apply for that and you need to go for it. Okay. That's from Alicia Brown, the Joy Guru. As I always say, until next time.